The lights were bright, the cage locked, and anticipation surged through the arena. Two fighters stood at the center of attention, each with a reputation, each with something to prove. On one side was Manon Fiorot, the French striker known for her pinpoint accuracy, impeccable movement, and calculated aggression. On the other stood Mellony Geugjes, a skilled and respected Dutch fighter with a background in kickboxing and Muay Thai, bringing toughness, experience, and firepower. As the bout began, the atmosphere crackled with tension. From the first exchange, Fiorot's game plan became clear. Control the distance, stay patient, and use movement to pick apart her opponent. She started with feints and low kicks, testing Geugjes' reactions, while staying light on her feet and shifting angles. Geugjes answered with her own kicks and quick combinations, not backing down. She was no stranger to high-level competition and aimed to bring pressure early, looking to close the gap and take Fiorot out of the ring. But Fiorot was elusive, slipping in and out of range. Perfect timing. Within the first minute, Fiorot began to open up. A stiff jab landed clean. Then came a side kick to the body that sent Geugjes back a few steps. Fiorot stayed composed, never rushing, always resetting after each attack. Her karate-influenced striking style created problems for Geugjes, who struggled to find her rhythm against the constant lateral movement. As the round progressed, Fiorot began mixing her strikes beautifully. She landed a crisp 1-2, followed by a spinning back kick that just grazed Geugjes' ribs. Her confidence grew with every exchange. Geugjes attempted to push forward, throwing a series of hooks and a leg kick, but Fiorot parried, countered, and moved away without taking damage. With just over a minute left in the first round, Fiorot delivered one of her signature combinations, a low kick, followed by a left straight, and a head kick that partially connected. crowd reacted audibly. It wasn't just the power, it was the precision. Geugjes showed her toughness, absorbing the strikes and continuing to fire back, but it was clear she was being outscored. The first round ended with Fiorot firmly in control. Her accuracy, speed, and footwork had clearly established the tone. Geugjes returned to her corner knowing she needed to adjust and disrupt Fiorot's run. As the second round began, Geugjes came out more aggressive, attempting to cut off the cage and stop Fiorot against the fence. She threw a heavy overhand right that narrowly missed and then clinched briefly, landing a knee to the body. Fiorot remained calm, disengaged quickly, and returned to the center of the cage. Then came the moment that changed everything. Midway through the round, Fiorot timed a beautiful counter, a left straight that landed flush as Geugjes stepped in. The shot snapped Geugjes' head back, and Fiorot followed. Up with a spinning back fist that stunned her opponent. Geugjes stumbled momentarily, and Fiorot closed the distance. With surgical precision, Fiorot unloaded a series of punches with lefts, rights, mixing high and low, each strike thrown with purpose. Geugjes covered up, but Fiorot's pressure was unrelenting. She landed a high kick that rocked Geugjes again, followed by another clean left hand. Sensing the end, Fiorot poured it on. Geugjes tried to clinch, but Fiorot shrugged it off and landed a brutal knee to the midsection. The referee watched closely as Fiorot landed another left hook and a kick to the body. Geugjes was still standing but absorbing a lot of punishment. Then, with under a minute left in the second, Fiorot unleashed a high kick that landed perfectly on the jaw. Geugjes went down. The referee rushed in and waved it off. The fight was over. It was a stunning finish, the kind that reminds fans why Fiorot is considered one of the most dangerous strikers in women's MMA. Her timing, distance control, and creativity were on full display. Every strike was thrown with purpose, and she never overextended or lost composure. The crowd erupted in applause. had delivered another highlight reel performance. Not just a win, but a statement. She raised her arms, calm but proud, knowing she had added another chapter to her growing legacy. Geugjes, ever the warrior, got back to her feet and acknowledged her opponent. Despite the loss, she had shown courage and tenacity, stepping in against one of the best and refusing to back down until the very end. In her post-fight interview, Fiorot credited her team, her preparation, and her belief in her striking. She spoke about wanting to rise through the ranks and face the biggest names in the division. Her performance left no doubt. She was ready for the next level. The bout will be remembered not just for the finish, but for the clinic Fiorot put on. Her control of the fight from start to finish, the way she broke her opponent down, and the technical precision of the final sequence were marks of a fighter evolving into a world-class competitor. What makes performances like this special is not just the knockout, but the journey to it, the control, the setup, the intelligence. Fiorot didn't just swing for the fences. She read her opponent, adjusted in real time, and struck with calculated violence. For fans, it was a treat. For her division, it was a warning. She's not just a striker. She's a problem.
Mellony Geugjes calls a stop to the contest at 4 minutes 17 seconds of round number 3. Your winner by TKO by strikes.